Hello, dear kids. Today's story name is Sindbad on a Strange Island. Once upon a time, the brave traveler Sindbad was at home when his friends came to visit him. As they chatted, talk turned to travel. Sindbad's heart began to race, for adventure always called him like the sea breeze. The very next day, he packed his things, went to the port of Basra, and boarded a ship. The shining blue waves rolled beneath him as he dreamed of distant islands and wondrous lands. The ship sailed far from home into the open sea. Sindbad loved to watch the sunrise paint the sky golden. But one day, dark clouds gathered. The wind howled, waves rose high, and soon a mighty storm struck. The ship rocked and cracked until it overturned. Everyone fell into the sea. Sindbad struggled in the cold water until he saw a floating plank. He grabbed it and helped others too. At last, they reached the shore, exhausted, and fell asleep under the open sky. When morning came, strange people appeared. Their eyes were wild, and they carried sticks. They tied Sindbad and his friends and took them to their king. The king sat upon a wooden throne and ordered food for them. The food looked delicious, but Sindbad's nose wrinkled. Something felt wrong. Those who ate it began to eat more and more, unable to stop. Sindbad realized the food was enchanted. The people wanted to make them fat to harm them later. Sindbad whispered to his friends, "Don't eat," but they couldn't hear him anymore. Sindbad decided he must save himself. One night, when everyone was asleep, he quietly hid behind a big tree. The moonlight helped him find a narrow path through the forest. He ran barefoot, his heart thumping like a drum. He found some fruit he recognized, ate enough to stay strong, and kept walking. Days turned into a week. His clothes were torn, but his hope stayed bright. He prayed for help and continued through the green forest filled with chirping birds and whispering leaves. After 7 long days, Sindbad saw people from afar. Frightened but hopeful, he waved and called for help. The men drew their swords, thinking he was a stranger from an enemy land. Sindbad quickly told them his story. When they saw he meant no harm, they offered him water and food. The men belonged to another island. When they sailed home, they took Sindbad along. His heart filled with thanks as the waves sparkled under the sun, leading him to a new adventure. On the new island, Sindbad met the king. The king listened carefully as Sindbad told his strange story of the storm, the wild people, and the enchanted food. The king was wise and kind. He began to visit Sindbad often. Sindbad noticed that the people of this island rode horses without saddles. He smiled and said, "I can show you something wonderful." The king grew curious. Sindbad gathered wood, leather, and rope and began to make something special that no one had ever seen before. When the first saddle was ready, Sindbad placed it on a horse. The king sat on it and was amazed. "This is so comfortable," he exclaimed joyfully. Soon everyone on the island wanted saddles. Sindbad made more for the royal stables and earned shiny gifts and gold coins. The king said, "Sindbad, you are clever and hardworking. I now consider you part of our family." Sindbad bowed humbly, feeling grateful. He began to live a happy life on the island, surrounded by respect and friendship. One bright morning, the king called Sindbad to the palace. "My dear Sindbad," said the king, "I want you to marry my daughter. She is kind and gentle." Sindbad agreed. The princess was beautiful and had a heart as pure as morning dew. Their wedding was full of music, flowers, and smiling faces. Soon, Sindbad and his wife built a happy home together. Days turned into months of peace and laughter. Sindbad thought that perhaps, this time, his adventurous life had found calm. One day, a man in the kingdom lost his wife. Sindbad went to offer condolences, but he was shocked to learn their strange custom. When a husband or wife dies, the other must be buried alive beside them. Sindbad felt a chill run down his spine. He returned home quietly, worried about the strange rule. His wife comforted him, saying softly, "Do not worry, my love." Yet deep inside, Sindbad hoped such a sad thing would never happen to them. Days passed peacefully, but fate had other plans. Sindbad's wife fell ill one night and grew weaker. Despite all his care, she closed her eyes forever. The people of the island followed their custom and placed her in a cave along with treasure and food. They said Sindbad must go too. His heart broke, but he prayed for courage. Inside the cave, darkness surrounded him. He wept beside his wife, whispering prayers. Around him were sparkling jewels that glittered even in the dim light. Sindbad remembered Allah and began to look for a way out. Then he saw a fox slip through a small hole in the wall. "This must lead outside," he thought. Quickly, he tied a rope around the fox's leg, and it ran ahead, showing him the path. Sindbad widened the hole with stones and crawled through it. At last, he came out under the open sky. Fresh air touched his face. Before him stood a mountain, a shady tree, and a cool, clear stream. Sindbad stayed there for a few days, drinking from the stream and eating fruit. He went back to the cave several times to collect the shining gems. One morning, as the sea glimmered nearby, he saw a ship stopping to draw water. Sindbad waved his hands and called out loudly. The sailors spotted him and helped him aboard. They listened to his tale in awe. Soon, he reached his homeland, carrying gems and another story of courage. Dear kids, with this today's story comes to an end. Very soon, we will be back with a new and interesting story. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, kids. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel for more fun and exciting videos of stories. See you next time. Bye-bye.